Hello guys, this is the Betamax man and the Betamax Katie, and today I just recently got in the mail. This is a Sony SL-HF400. Now it was listed on eBay as parts or repair as is. And the description was kind of weird. What I mean by that is, like, he said that the cassette carriage seems to be missing. Well, the proper name is cassette housing, and the cassette housing is not missing. You can see the door. Unlike VHS machines, a lot of VHS machines had the door separate from the cassette housing. With Betamax, the door is attached to the cassette housing. So we know that the cassette housing is there. However, what I'm finding interesting is the fact that the cassette carriage, or cassette housing, he called it a carriage, it's actually called a cassette housing, is in the loaded position. It's in the down position, so that's kind of interesting. So let's plug this thing in and see what it does. Alright, got to plug this in into my power strip. I just got this power strip not too long ago. Okay, well, it's got a clock display, and it's got the channel indicator is on. But we have no power light. Very interesting. So if we hit power, the channel lights up, the clock lights up, but we have no power light. So that right there is definitely going to be a voltage regulator IC that will need to be changed. And as you can see, when we hit power, we don't get any, we're not getting any light. Doesn't seem to be responding either. There it goes. So it doesn't always respond to powering off. It's probably got another issue as well. So let me take the screws out, and we'll take the top off, and we'll take a look. Okay, we got the top off. So it's definitely in the down position. So that is interesting. Why would it be in the loaded position? Well, it's loaded as far as the tape goes, but it's not threaded around the drum. So probably somebody might have had a tape that was stuck, and they probably figured out how to get the tape out, but maybe they got the tape out and maybe they wanted to try it out again, and the regulator failed or something. I don't know. That is very interesting, the fact that the regulator has failed, but the cassette housing being in the loaded position. That really kind of makes me wonder, like, what the heck happened. Now, sometimes what causes voltage regulator to go bad is the power surge. Sometimes if you have a bad power surge, it'll cause the regulator to blow. The regulator is STK 5441 for this particular model. So in order for me to do anything, I'm definitely going to need to put a regulator in it, and then we'll see if there are any other problems. There may not be any issues. So I got the cassette housing back in the home position. However, I did notice that the cartridge was coming back up and at an angle. So the guides had popped out of the groove. There's a little groove that the parts, that the part, you know, slides on. There's a little slot where the cassette housing goes back and forth, and it goes up and down. So I'm finding out that there's something going on with the cassette housing. So we got two issues with this thing so far. Regulator bad, and the cassette housing has got some kind of an issue. So the 400 is basically the same as the 300. So the SL-HF400 and the SL-HF500 are beta hi-fi machines, and the SL-HF400 is basically the same machine, only with super beta. So super beta is it's the 400 has a super beta, so but it's basically the same. In fact, the power supply is the same as what's in the SL-HF300 and SL-HF500. Now the Capstan motor. So if you need a Capstan motor for a SL-HF860D, they use this same Capstan. So I believe the Capstan on this particular one is a little bit different from the other Capstans, but anyway, just kind of I'm geeking out. I'm basically geeking out, I guess you could say. So we have some, these look like either 5 or 10 ohm resistors. We got a fuse. This is probably a 15 or a 20 amp fuse. And it's got some capacitors. It's got pancake caps. There's transistors, so, you know, there's a little, this is the Zinger diode, this little bluish green, right by my finger there's a Zinger diode. Now with these particular models, what you have to do is take the screws out. There's 2 in the back, and then there's 1 on each side. There's actually 4, so there's one on each corner, and then the 2 in the back, and then the power supply just comes out. So I'm going to remove the screws. We're going to pull the power supply out, and then we'll get my iron hot, and we'll put a new regulator in. Okay, so we got the VCR out of the way, and I've got the power supply out, so now we can work on that. So our meat and potatoes are in the back. Here's our meat and potatoes right there. So I now have access to the regulator. And so all I gotta do is get my soldering iron hot. And I'm gonna unsolder these pins. And we'll pull the old one out. And put the new one in. And I think I've got 2 in stock. So I think I might have 2 of the regulators, but I think I do have 2 of them. Anyway, it don't matter. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna get my iron hot, and what I do is, so here is our, oh, here we go. Looks like I just got 1. Okay, I think I'm down to the last one. I usually keep 2 of these on hand, but it looks like this is my last one that I have. So let's we're gonna put the new one in, and let's get that. And I'm also when I'm putting in the regulator, I like to use the small, very fine tip to do the regulator, because as you can see, the solder joints are very close together, and so doing this kind of soldering work, it's best to have smaller tips. So I'm going to pick out my tip here that I want to use. I'm just going to change out to a small tip. Okay, let's see what I got here. I think this one will do the trick. Yeah. Yep. So I think it's ready. This is one of my cheaper backup soldering iron. I'm not sure where my other iron went to at the moment, and so I'm just gonna use my backup soldering iron. So basically I'm just gonna heat it up. I'm gonna use a solder sucker, or a pump as sometimes called. So in some cases, in some situations, sometimes you have to heat the pins up a little bit and kind of rock the chip out. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my diagonal cutters and cut the leads, and that will allow the, I'm just going to take, let's just take the chip off. I'm just going to unscrew it from the heatsink. Just take the chip off, and then we'll be able to get that off. And so we'll do that. So there we go. Chip will chip should pop right off. So it's got heatsink on it, compound, so it's stuck to the heatsink. So sometimes you just give it a little tap. It's pretty stuck. That is actually pretty well stuck. Wow, it's basically like melted on. Holy cow, I've never seen it stuck like that before. So we got that popped loose, so now we can have access. So let's get this. I'm just going to heat them up. Just heat the pins up a little bit and get this thing out of here. One pin is kind of bent. Usually I don't have that much trouble taking one of these out, but sometimes they can be a bear. You know, and I should invest in some better equipment. They do have soldering guns that will, they have desoldering guns, which basically heats it up and sucks the solder up and out of the way and leaves you with a perfect thing. So I'm just going to cut the chip. Where did my die go? So the old regulator is out. So here's the old one that I just cut. And when you cut them off and you heat the pins up, the pin will usually just fall right out. So that's what I had to do. I think it will be better for me to invest in some better tools. Of course, I've been doing it this way for years. For a long time I've been using a solder sucker, so for quite a few years now. So I don't really care about having fancy tools, but yeah, it would make my life easier. Now I noticed that one of the traces has lifted off of the board, so what I might end up having to do is do a bridge on pin 3. Looks like pin 3's got starting to lift up off the board. Those fleas bothering you? Yeah, those fleas bothering her. I got a new flea collar for her, but doesn't seem to help all the way, so I don't know. Maybe if one of you guys out there that have caps, if you guys know what a good solution to getting rid of fleas on caps, that would be greatly appreciated. If maybe one of you guys knows, you can drop a comment below. Anyway, so let's get this out. So I'll show you here. Pin number 3 looks like it might be lifting off the board, so I might have to do a bridge. But so the trick now is to get the new regulator installed. So once we get that installed, then we'll be able to. Now we'll need Heatsink Compound, and I have a couple of packages here. So this is thermal grease or Heatsink Compound, same thing. It's just there's different names for it, but it even comes with a little spreader. So when we get the new one in and installed, then we'll put some of the Heatsink Compound on. I do need to clean up the old, scratch the old compound off and get that cleaned up, but I'm going to get the chip installed first, I think. And then, so let's get the new one into place. So the trick is getting all the pins in the holes. And the pins on this one has been bent just a little bit, so I'm going to have a little bit of trouble getting it to line up with all the pins. But once you get it all lined up, you can bend the outer pin so that the chip stays in place while you're soldering it in. So let's get this put in, and we'll show you how to do the heatsink compound. So I got the pins lined up, and I just bent the pins on each side so that the chip will stay into place. And so what I might do is just solder the 2 pins and then get the regulator into its position, and then screw it down in, and then I'll continue soldering. Now there's different types of solder. you want to make sure that the solder is specifically designed for electronics. Now there's thin solder, and then you have the thicker solder. So this one is a little bit thicker and wider than the other ones, but this is it's a 1.2 mil, and then this one is 1.0 mil. So I put a little heatsink compound on there, and you just want to spread it nice and evenly, and cover the whole entire back of the chip with it. And so we're gonna screw it, put it into place, and then I will finish soldering the chip in. Okay, so it's all soldered in, and looks all right. There's my halfway decent solder joints. So we'll put this thing back in, and now that we've got it all put in here, now that I've got the adjustments of where the chip needs to be, I can tighten the screws. Just gonna tighten the top screws here. And now we'll tighten the side screws. You'll see that I have it loose because I needed to put it at the right spot. And just tighten them just so they're snug. You don't want to over tighten them because these are going into aluminum. So we got the power supply back in. So let's plug it in and see if what else it'll do. So let's just see if we fixed it, shall we? So I'm hoping that this, might be all that's wrong with it. Except I do know that there is an issue with the cassette housing, but we can fix that. So let's get it powered on, and let's just see. Yes, I fixed it. And the reason is because we seen the regulator reset itself, and we could see the volume meters display, which we didn't have before. And there we go. Now we do have a power light. The power light is faded. It's very faded. So what I think is that the front faceplate has been taken off and is not properly aligned, because if the front is not properly aligned, the light won't show through the clear area of the button. But you can see that, yes, there is a power button now, and we do have light. So let me go find a tape, and we'll let's get this thing going. So let's get a tape in. Now until I know that it's not going to chew up my good tape, we'll use a test tape. And so let's put in the cassette. Oh, sticky tape said sticky shed syndrome. So there definitely is a problem, but I think it's because the front faceplate is not on. So I want to clean that. There was something on that tape because it just it mangled my. Oh wow, there's something on there. Anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna clean the head drum. I've cleaned the heads and the head drum, and I've got it hooked up to the TV now. So let's just see if we've got a picture, and we'll just get a tape here, and let's get a tape. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Here we go, we got one. So let's power it on. Oh, not a very good one, is it? I wonder, oh, man, hopefully, I hope it doesn't have a worn out head, because as shiny as this head drum is, man, that could be a head that's worn out. Oh, wait, yeah, tracking. There we go. Much better. So this is another day. It's Saturday. Friday night we put you remember we put the voltage regulator in there, and we got the power to come back on. I was having some trouble with the cassette housing, and I wanted to take the front faceplate off because I believe that the front faceplate was put on back on a little bit wrong. I think the faceplate was a little bit at an angle, and it wasn't fully snapped into place. There's little plastic tabs that snap into place when the front faceplate is installed correctly. So I believe that was one of our issues with the cassette not wanting to come out straight. It was kind of catching on one side and not coming out straight. So let's just see if perhaps we've got let's just see if the tape will go in and out properly. There's something going on with that cassette housing though, so I may have to pull that out and see what's going on with the cassette housing. So let's just hit, I believe playback is, there we go. And so there's play. Now if we hit, see, I gotta look and see, because here's the faceplate. So Also, the record tab wasn't working right either. So, don't know why the record tab was not working right, but it seems to work now that it's on the off position. So, let's see this one. And that one's ejecting because the oil wants to go back in. It wants to pop back in. There is definitely something going on with cassette housing. Because it's sticking. So, probably do an investigation on that and see what's going on there. But it does appear to be kicking out like it should. But it's still kind of like, you can hear the gears grinding a little bit. So that is concerning. Yeah, it's definitely doing what it should. So yeah, we could take, let's just see. Let's turn the power on my machine here. Whoops. Alright, and let's hit the VTR button. And where's the stop button? It's sucking the tape in without, when you don't, the tape is supposed to sit there and not do anything. So I think we'll do another video on the cassette housing, and we'll pull the cassette housing out, and we'll replace the broken pieces and get this cassette housing working again. Because we'll take a look at the inside of it, and I can show you guys how the cassette housing works and how to fix it if it's got a problem, which this one does. Hello again. So I've got the power supply out. I've got the power supply taken apart, and I gotta be careful not to pull those wires out of the socket. Anyway, so I've got the power supply, took it apart because I want to go in. This is a good opportunity, by the way, to get in and clean the power supply, clean all the dust out. What I usually do is use a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a paintbrush, and I just dust. First I'll dry dust it with a paintbrush, and then I'll go back through with the isopropyl alcohol. The rubbing alcohol is what it used to be called. So I'll take the rubbing alcohol, put a little bit on the brush, and then do a wet cleaning, and it works pretty well for cleaning the components and stuff. There was a YouTuber, Spats Bear. He actually puts his parts, his circuit boards, in a dishwasher. So I think that was a very clever, very smart thing to do. You know, you can take your circuit boards out, put them in the dishwasher. They come out sparkly clean. And I don't have a dishwasher at the moment that works, so, you know, I think later on I will, once we get our dishwasher fixed, or maybe I'll just buy a new one. I'll start doing that, I think, because as long as you let the circuit boards dry, or you can use a hair dryer to dry them out, but as long as your circuit boards are completely dry when you're done running them through a dishwasher, you can put everything back together and it be perfect. So it doesn't hurt it to put it through a dishwasher, you know, to put the components through. I would not put the transformer in there, but everything else I wouldn't mind putting, you know, in the dishwasher. But the power supply, this main board here with the transformer on it, I would probably want to unsolder the transformer, pull it off before I would put components in a dishwasher. But I think that was a very smart thing to do. I think that's really cool that he thought of doing that, and I'm sure other people have done that. But Spats Bear is also extremely knowledgeable on electronics. He has all the equipment. He's got a lot of skills. So, you know, he's very good at restoring these vintage CRT TVs, and he does a lot of TV restorations. He's done a lot of VHS VCR restorations, and he's done some Betamax machines, and so if you're not familiar with his channel, go check it out, because I've been a subscriber to him for quite a few years now, and I always enjoy watching his videos. So what I'm going to do is I want to check some of the capacitors. I don't have all of the capacitors that I would need. But what I can do is just put the ones in. The ones that I'm really concerned about are the low voltage capacitors. The ones that are like 50 volts or, you know, 10 volt, you know, the lower voltage ones. I'm going to check all of them. I'm going to check every capacitor with my meter and make sure that they're working. Now I am going to change the smaller ones, particularly the Elena caps. I want to change out the Elena capacitors. Now I don't have, I can see a couple of 63 volt caps with at 33 microfarads. I think the only ones I have are the 63 at 47. So I'm not going to be putting those in. I'm not going to be changing those in the video. I'm just going to be changing some of the other ones. The ones that I know I have, and I like to get rid of the Elena ones. The ones I'm really concerned with are the Elenas and changing those. The other ones, you know, like these light blue colored caps, those are Rubicon. They're either Rubicon or Sanyo caps. I also want to see if there's any that are starting to bulge at the top, or, you know, maybe they're starting to pop out at the bottom. You know, because sometimes the seals go bad on the bottom of the cap and the electrolytic just leaks out. And and that's what I'm gonna do. So we'll take a look at this stuff. Now, yeah, I don't have any of the 63 at 33, so we're gonna have to put those in a little later when I get those in, because I'm gonna have to order. So, alright, I'm gonna get my meter out here, wherever I've done with that. So, let's get this thing out. Let's put it on the right setting. I think that some of these are going to be needing to be changed, because this is, yeah, the power supply is working, but the caps are getting old, and it's just kind of like, I call it preventive maintenance, because basically you're preventing it from having a problem in the future. And that's what I want, to prevent it from having issues. So, let's just check some of these. And I like how Sony marks the leads, positive and negative leads. Looks like there's quite a few of them that are still really good, so we may not even have to, but I mean, we obviously don't have to change them, but I mean, they're getting to where they're, yeah, this one's a little bit low on the ASR reading, so I want to check, I think. Let's just check some of these. There's ones over here that I want to check out. Doing restorations involve doing this kind of work, changing capacitors. Even though they may not even be bad. I mean, I know that there are going to be you guys that feel that, there's no point in changing them if they're not bad. But dealing with the fact that I'm restoring these machines, if I wasn't going to do a restoration on them, I mean, obviously I show you guys the repair part, but I don't always show you the process of restoring these machines. Now, restoration is basically replacing components such as capacitors and making sure that this deck is going to last for a very long time, for years to come, 10 plus years, maybe even 20 years. I mean, when you're doing a full restoration, because these caps, they can still be working, but they're starting to go bad, and there were a couple here that I'm finding that are starting to go bad, and so this is actually this is not really anything to do with repair at this point in time. This is now just doing kind of a restoration, cleaning things up and replacing components. I like to clean all the dust off of all the parts. I want all the parts to be nice and clean and ready to go, and just get everything going, and just, I don't know, but I think I want to pull out the, I just want to show you some of the process that's done and getting these things restored. So that's what I'm attempting to do, is to show you guys. And it's also, I call it preventive maintenance. So it was a C015 is starting to go bad, and there was an Elena cap on C014 is an Elena capacitor, and that one will definitely gotta go, because anytime I find Elena caps, change them out. So all of the capacitors that I have been changed. Oh, looks like we got a wire that came loose. So we need to put that wire back in. But anyway, all the caps have been changed, and I changed the one of the big ones. I actually had one of these, and yeah, this one tested good. So I can actually keep this as a backup cap. You know, when I run out of new ones, I can at least have a used one, you know, to put in another project. I just replaced it because, you know, just because I had them, and I just put it in. But there's the green one, that dark green Panasonic cap that we changed. We got rid of the Rubicon, so I put the power supply back in. Power supply is all back together. It's back in. It's playing the tape. So we got the power supply done. Pretty much done with the power supply. Just decided that you know, I don't really need to do anything else to the power supply, really. So we're gonna put the power supply back in for the final time. And those 63 volt capacitors, they're not Elena's, so I'm just going to leave them in there. And I might replace them later on, but I'm not going to do a video on that. But I'll order them and replace them, and you know, but part of the restoration process is you know, replacing components to prevent it from having a problem in the future. You know, so. Well, we got a problem because when we hit the rewind, it wants to go and fast forward. And we lose our picture. When we go to picture search, we lose a picture. So, I might need to take a look at the front faceplate. I'm going to take the front faceplate off and take a look at the circuit boards where the buttons are and get that situated. But yeah, so we got another issue with this machine. So this thing does have two more issues now. One is we got the cassette housing to deal with, and two, it's the when you hit rewind, it wants to go into fast forward, or when you try to go into picture search, it just blanks the screen. So we're gonna have to figure that out. That could be there was a wire that came off in the power supply, and I soldered it back into the spot that I thought it went to, but maybe it doesn't go to that spot. So I'm gonna take a look at it. But anyway, I think we need to go into the, I need to take the front circuit board off and take a look at it and just see if there's an issue with it, because this is a common problem with the 400. I've noticed I've had a couple of these that have had that issue where you hit rewind and it wants to go to fast forward. So let's just see if we stop it and hit rewind. Okay, that seems to work. But it seems like on picture search, it seems to have the issue. Yeah, see, it wants to forward when you hit rewind, so something's going on there. We're gonna have to figure that out. But I think for right now, we're gonna end this video. There might be a part 3 to this video. I'm gonna make another part. This will be the end of part 1, basically. And by the time I get done making this video, I'm gonna edit it down so that it's not so boring. You know, I'm going to fast forward through some of the boring parts, and we'll edit this video down so it's not as long. And anyway, but we'll see you in the next video, because right now it's fine. As far as we got it to power on, and we got it to play tapes, and it's not eating tapes or anything like that, so it's doing just fine, except for on picture search. It blanks the picture when we hit fast forward, which it shouldn't do, and it won't go in the reverse on picture search. However, we can hit stop and rewind. We can do a fast rewind, but so this one's got a few bugs that we got to work out. But I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break from this particular machine, and I want to finish the SL-HF400 that I'm doing. I want to do a final part 3 video on that. I want to get that going again. So I'm pretty close to having that one repaired. That one was challenging for sure. Now I've got an SL-500, SL-HF400 that's coming in, and it's a beta hi-fi. And it's got the remote and the manual, and even the cover for it. So that'll be good to get that one in, because that one I think was owned by one person, and so I think I'm the second owner on that one, but it's in a lot better condition than this one is. But the good thing about this particular one is that it does have super beta, so that's the nice thing about the 400, you know. So anyway, we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.